Among the three main Jewish population groups in Israel, the Ashkenazi Jews stand out alongside the Mizrahi or Mizrahi Jews and the well-known Sephardic Jews. In this video, we will explore the history and genetic origins of European Jews known as Ashkenazi Jews. So, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share this content with others. The origin of the Ashkenazi Jews, the story few know. The term Ashkenazim originates from the biblical figure Ashkenaz, mentioned as the first son of Gomer, grandson of Japheth. Japheth, in turn, was one of Noah's sons, recognized as the patriarch of the Japhethic populations, as described in the Table of Nations in Genesis chapter 10. Gomer's name is often associated with the Cimmerians, an ancient people. The name Ashkenaz is generally understood to be derived from the Assyrian Ashguzar, which appears in cuneiform as Ashguzai or Ishguzai. The word Ashkenaz can be interpreted as Germanic or even Germany, which explains why Ashkenazi Jews are often called German Jews or Germanic Jews. This designation reflects both the geographical location in the region of Germania and their contact with European peoples of Germanic origin. When these Jews migrated to lands identified as Ashkenaz, they established a culture marked by interaction and integration with the local populations. Ashkenazi Jews share a historical parallel with the Sephardic Jews, another group of the Jewish diaspora. While Ashkenazim are associated with the Germanic lands, Sephardim have their roots in the Iberian Peninsula, historically referred to as Sepharad. The Ashkenazi community began to take shape in the Holy Roman Empire around the end of the first millennium. They developed a distinct language, Yiddish, which emerged around 19th century. Yiddish combines elements of Hebrew with Germanic dialects and other influences, and was widely spoken in Northern and Eastern Europe during the Middle Ages. However, frequent persecution against Jews, especially in the late Middle Ages, led to intense migrations that helped spread Ashkenazi culture to various parts of the world. Yiddish is essentially a Judeo-German language developed from the interaction between Hebrew and Germanic dialects, with influences from other European languages. For centuries, Hebrew was predominantly used as a literary and sacred language, playing a central role in religious and liturgical texts. It was only in the 20th century, with the revival of the Hebrew language, that it became widely spoken and used as a daily language, especially in Israel. Ashkenazi Jews adapted their traditions to the European context, leading to significant changes in their interpretation of Judaism, especially during the 18th-19th centuries. During this period, many Jews who remained or returned to the historical lands of Germany faced profound cultural transformations. Under the influence of the Jewish Enlightenment movement known as Haskalah and the struggle for emancipation, the community underwent a process of cultural reorientation. German cities, with their intellectual and cultural vibrancy, played a crucial role in this process. During this period of transition, many Ashkenazim gradually abandoned Yiddish, the traditional Judeo-German language, in favor of German, seeking greater integration with the surrounding society. This change also led to the development of new forms of religious practice and cultural identities, marking the beginning of modernization in European Judaism. Over the centuries, Ashkenazi Jews made notable contributions to various fields of knowledge and European culture. Their achievements in philosophy, literature, art, music, science, and academic studies left a lasting legacy, shaping both Jewish identity and the cultural history of Europe. The proportion of Ashkenazi Jews relative to the global Jewish population underwent significant changes over the centuries. In the 11th century, they represented about 3% of the global Jewish population. However, this proportion increased substantially, reaching approximately 92% in 1930, near their peak population. Unfortunately, this population was drastically reduced during the Holocaust. One of the greatest tragedies in history, which occurred during World War II, resulted in the death of about 6,000 Jews, deeply affecting nearly every Jewish family in Europe. In 1933, before the war, the global Jewish population was estimated at 15.3 thousand people. However, the Holocaust drastically altered this demographic landscape. Israeli demographer and statistician Sergio Della Pergola estimated that by the year 2000, Ashkenazi Jews represented about 65% of the global Jewish population. Other estimates suggest this proportion was even higher, ranging between 70% and 75%. In 2013, the Ashkenazi population was estimated to be between 10,000 to 200,000 individuals, indicating a gradual recovery, though still far from the pre-World War II numbers. Various genetic studies conducted on the Ashkenazi Jewish population have revealed important aspects of their ancestry. These studies show that Ashkenazim have Levantine and Semitic roots originating from the Middle East and the ancient Israelites. At the same time, there is a notable European contribution to their genetic composition, resulting from centuries of staying and interacting with local populations on the European continent. This mixed ancestry reflects both the preservation of a Jewish identity over time and the influence of the European cultures and societies in which Ashkenazi Jews live. After the Jewish diasporas, genetic studies have demonstrated that Ashkenazi Jews possess significant European genetic influence with predominant origins in southern and northern Europe. According to many of these studies, the European genetic mix in Ashkenazim occurred primarily in a matrilineal fashion, meaning through the maternal lines. This suggests that in ancient times, Jews who settled in European regions often married local women, resulting in a predominant European contribution through the mothers. However, like other Jewish groups, such as the Sephardim and Mizrahim, Ashkenazim have their ancestral roots in the ancient Israelites and Hebrews. They descend from the populations that inhabited the historical kingdoms of Israel and Judah, reinforcing their connection to the Middle East. Genetic studies indicate that Ashkenazi Jews share a significant amount of ancestry with other Jewish groups, deriving most of their origins from Semitic populations of the Levant region. Therefore, the genetic composition of Ashkenazim reflects a historical fusion between Levantine ancestry, which is common to all Jewish groups, and European influence acquired over centuries of staying in Europe. This process of intermarriage shaped their unique genetic identity, while they maintained cultural and religious traditions that reinforced their cohesion as a community. In addition to their roots in ancient Israel, the origin of the Ashkenazi Jews as a distinct community remains unknown, giving rise to various theories. It is known, however, that the first Jewish communities in Europe began to emerge around the 4th century BCE. At that time, Jewish colonies settled in southern Europe, covering regions such as the Aegean Islands, Greece, and Italy. The Jewish migration from ancient Israel occurred due to a combination of factors, including both the search for better opportunities and the need to escape conflicts, persecutions, and instability. This migratory movement was driven by wars and internal difficulties, but also by commercial and social attractions in the new regions. There are records indicating the presence of Jews in certain European areas, particularly in Greece, as early as the 2nd century BCE, when small groups or Jewish communities began to establish themselves. Voluntary migration to southern Europe intensified after the conquests of Alexander the Great, which created favorable conditions for trade and cultural interaction in the eastern Mediterranean. During the Hellenistic period, many Jews migrated to Greek settlements in search of economic prosperity. Later during the Roman period, the Jewish migratory flow to southern Europe became even more significant, reflecting the attraction of the economic and commercial opportunities of the time. These migrations, driven by economic and social factors, played a crucial role in the formation of Jewish communities that later contributed to the emergence of Ashkenazi Jews as a distinct cultural and religious identity. For much of the Roman period, many Jews did not have access to full citizenship, a situation that only changed in 212 CE when Emperor Caracalla granted this right to all free peoples of the empire. Until the reign of Julian in 363 CE, Jews were also required to pay a special tax. By the end of the Roman Empire, there was some freedom for Jews to form cultural and religious networks and engage in various local economic activities. However, the situation began to deteriorate when Christianity was declared the official religion of Rome and Constantinople in 380 CE. From that point, Jews faced increasing marginalization, and Catholic persecutions intensified, deeply affecting their communities. Moving on to the relationship with Sephardic Jews, often described as their brothers, the relationship between Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews was sometimes marked by tensions and mutual prejudices. Arrogance, snobbery, and claims of racial superiority exacerbated these conflicts. Both groups frequently claimed greater genetic and cultural proximity to the ancient Jews, basing their claims on physical characteristics, cultural traits, and religious traditions. These divisions became more evident in Israeli society after the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. Sephardic Jews, primarily from North Africa and the Middle East, were often treated as second-class citizens by Ashkenazi Jews, who dominated the political and social scene. This discrimination led to the emergence of protest movements, such as the Israeli Black Panthers founded by Sayedya Marciano, a Moroccan Jewish woman who sought equality and social justice for Sephardic Jews. Research conducted in 2010 pointed to a common genetic ancestry among all Jewish populations, revealing deep connections between them. During certain historical periods, Ashkenazi communities even welcomed a considerable number of Sephardim, facilitating a cultural and genetic fusion between the two groups. However, today they remain quite distinct. Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews maintain their own identities with well-defined boundaries between the two groups. One integration that gained prominence, especially in Israel, was the cultural and ethnic mixing between Mizrahi Jews, often considered the most genetically pure, and Sephardic Jews, who occupy second place in this genetic perspective. This interaction resulted in a significant fusion both culturally and genetically, reinforcing the diversity among Jewish populations in the contemporary context. Focusing on the genetics of Ashkenazi Jews, studies confirm that they have Israelite ancestry, and therefore Jewish blood. However, the genetic history of this group reveals significant intermingling with European populations, mainly occurring in antiquity. It is estimated that these marriages, particularly with women from southern and other regions of Europe, contributed to a high proportion of European genetics in Ashkenazi Jews. Studies indicate that on average, Ashkenazi Jews have about 60% or more European DNA, while the percentage of ancient Jewish ancestry in their genome is around 40%. These numbers, however, can vary considerably among individuals, reflecting the complexity of migratory dynamics and cultural interactions throughout history. Although Ashkenazi Jews are a more mixed group, just like Sephardic Jews, they maintain a distinct Jewish identity. However, Sephardic Jews carry a greater proportion of ancient Jewish genetics in their DNA. Even so, Ashkenazi Jews continue to be Jews. Interestingly, they currently form the largest group of Jews in Israel, followed by Sephardim and Mizrahim. I hope you all enjoyed this video about Ashkenazi Jews, the European Jewish people. Leave in the comments if you are familiar with this information about their genetics, Yiddish language, culture, and history. May God bless you, and see you soon.